Joe, you have been a leader among Methodist lay people for years. I can't remember when you weren't involved, and of course you've been to General Conference, so you probably know more about the inner workings of the legislative side of the Methodist Church than anybody. What do you think will be good legislative action that will be healthy for the church in the upcoming General Conference?
I think that the church needs to seriously consider whether or not it reallocates the $15 million a year that we spend through the Ministerial Education Fund on our 13 official United Methodist seminaries. Over the years, there's been lots of proposed legislation to give more of that money to students so that the money follows the students rather than following the institutions and that kind of thing. I think that I will be a part of a legislation this time that seeks to take the $15 million and ask the 13 seminaries to allocate at least 1/3 of that money to partnering with the institutions of education in Africa, so that it's not just educating people in the United States, but having these established educational institutions reach out and form meaningful partnerships with institutions in Africa. We created one new institution in Africa through the General Conference, and that was Africa University. And we forget, though, that that's just one institution in an area that's 5,000 miles north to south and 4,000 miles east to west. And we wouldn't tolerate just one institution here in the United States. And the United States is just a fraction of the size of Africa. So it's we've got to reach out to more institutions in Africa and to allocate 1/3 of the money, which seems fair because that's 1/3 of our membership is there in Africa now. I think that would be appropriate and helpful, but it will be controversial.
Well, I want to just add to that. I totally affirm that. I think it would also be good to think not only along the lines of Africa, but also India and China. As you know, Singapore is is primarily Methodist. It's a very strong Methodist stronghold. It's a gateway to China. China is very soon to be the largest church in the world in terms of sheer numbers. And right now it's unclear the future direction of the Chinese church, but we're talking about millions. We're already probably at 80 to 100 million believers. That's larger than the United States Christian force. So this is a tremendous growth of Christianity, that the need for putting Western materials into Chinese, the need for extending teaching in the Chinese language, and it's not, the challenge against various cultic and other kinds of potential dangers is very strong. And if we could really devote energy into increasing the exposure into China and India, I think we'll also see that as very strategic, because in the 21st century, it's going to be a Chinese and Indian century. And I think we have to really plan already in advance what that means for us as Christians, and along with the Africa Initiative.
The tensions are going to revolve around what's United Methodist and what's not United Methodist. The explosion of the church worldwide versus the decline in Europe and in North America creates a lot of tension, and how people in America can help to fund the continuing growth. They say that the growth is a mile wide and an inch deep. How do you take it deeper so that as people who come to faith and they're matured in the faith and they develop a real understanding of the Christian ethics and behavior, and do we devote those resources to the United Methodist, or do we reach beyond that to other Methodist groups? And in how we prioritize that are some of the tensions that we're going to face.
And one of the reasons for that tension, I think, is, in my view at least, is a loss of appreciation for what Methodism at its root is, because Methodism was never intended to be a single denominational movement. It's meant to be a perspective on the Reformation that deepens Reformation, makes it more fully Trinitarian, more emphasis on the Holy Spirit, that could be united to Anglicanism, as it would be in England, united to American Christianity, as in Methodism, but it could be united to almost any movement. So I could see a lot of Christian movements around the world that today do not have a history with the United Methodist or any other Methodist movement, who could become oriented toward Methodism. And I think that a better vision for United Methodism is to see us as part of a family of Methodist movements, and to actually see how we can collaborate and work together with quite a few movements around the world that may not officially join our United Methodist denomination, but are part of the larger Wesleyan family of movements.
Because it goes back to John Wesley's "The world is my parish."
Absolutely.
He having been denied a pulpit in his in his own particular venue, just expanded it to a global vision.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
And people like Asbury carried it further and made it happen. I agree.